Uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 3, chapter number 24, text number 34. Samabhipriche adya patim prajanam tvayavarti narna upapya upapta kamaha parivrajat padavim astito aham charishye tvam hridi yunjan vishokaha asamabhricche adyapatim prajanam taya vartinaya upatya kamaha parivrajat padavim asati aham charishye tvam hridi yunjan vishokaha. Asma abhipriche. I am inquiring. Adya, now. Patim, the Lord. Prajanam, of all created beings. Tvaya, by you. Avatirna, rinaha, free from debts. Uta, and apta, fulfilled. Kamaha, desires. Parivrajat, of an itinerant mendicant. Padavim, the path. Astitaha, accepting. Aham, I. Charishye, I shall wander. Tvam, you. Hridi, in my heart. Yunjan, keeping. Vishokaha, free from lamentation. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Today I have something to ask from you, who are the Lord of all living entities. Since I have now been liberated by you from my debts to my Father, and since all my desires are fulfilled, I wish to accept the order of an itinerant mendicant. Renouncing this family life, I wish to wander about free from lamentation, thinking of you in my heart. Translation with repetition. Today I have something to ask from you. You are the Lord of all living entities. Since I have now been liberated by you from my debts to my Father, and since all my desires are fulfilled, I wish to accept the order of an itinerant mendicant. Renouncing this family life, I wish to wander about, free from lamentation, thinking always of you in my heart. Purpose. Actually, sannyasa or renunciation of material household life necessitates complete absorption in Krishna consciousness and immersion in the self. One does not take sannyasa, freedom from family responsibility in the renounced order of life, to make another family or to create an embarrassing transcendental fraud in the name of sannyasa. The sannyasi's business is not to become proprietor of so many things and amass money from the innocent public. A sannyasi is proud that he is always thinking of Krishna within himself. Of course, there are two kinds of devotees of the Lord. One is called Ghoshtanandi, which means those who are preachers and have many followers for preaching the glories of the Lord, and who live among these many followers just to organize missionary activities. Other devotees are Atmanandi or self-satisfied and do not take the risk of preaching work. They remain, therefore, alone with God. In this classification was Kardama Muni. He wanted to be free from all anxieties and remain alone within his heart with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Parivraja means an itinerant mendicant. A mendicant sannyasi should not live anywhere for more than 3 days. He must be always moving because his duty is to move from door to door and enlighten people about Krishna consciousness. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta book. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitan yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So these are the words spoken by Kardama Muni. He is expressing his desire that he wants to wander about, fully renounced, free from lamentation, and always thinking about the Lord in the heart. So we as devotees also are in the renounced order of life, although Srila Prabhupada very mercifully have given a very liberal and a very practical path for us to renounce. Ours is Yukta Vairagya. And we are also, Prabhupada explains, there are two kinds of devotees, Ghoshtanandi and Bhajananandis, Atmanandis. So we all are practicing Yukta Vairagya and engaging all our talents, skills, energies, whatever Krishna has blessed us with, in the service of the Lord, in preaching the mission of the Lord. But while doing all these preaching activities, we should not forget that the goal is, just like here is saying, thinking of you in my heart. The goal is to remember Krishna. Yena tena prakarena mana Krishna niveshayet. Sometimes we can get so busy with our activities that we can forget the main goal. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. This is the sum and substance of whatever we are practicing, whatever sadhana program we are doing, whatever principles of Krishna consciousness. And we also heard saying that if one is always remembering Krishna, then all others are secondary rules. To the extent that there's a great devotee saying, my namaskarams to Sandhya Vandam, my all the rituals, all the regulations. Ultimately the goal is how we can always remember Krishna. Even renunciation, even anartha nivriti, even giving up attachments, it's all so that our heart can be clean, so that Krishna can take place there. Remembrance of, if we are remembering so many things, our heart, mind is cluttered with so many attachments, so many anarthas, so many material desires, then Krishna will not get a place in that heart. So what is renunciation? Renunciation is all the anarthas, all the unwanted desires, all the material lust, greed, pride, envy. We cleanse ourselves. Purification. And in that pure heart, in fact, we don't have to please Krishna. In the pure heart, Krishna is there. Prabhupada says that you don't have to artificially impose Krishna. It's all dormant. Krishna consciousness is dormant. If all this anartha gets removed, dormant Krishna consciousness will awaken. So, the goal is to remember Krishna always. For that we have sadhana program, for that we have Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, we have that whole sadhana bhakti process, anartha nivriti, nishtha, ruchi, asakti, prema, bhava, all that gradually step by step will come. As devotees, we are living in a community, we are very fortunate, we are very blessed. We have ample opportunity morning to night to serve the Lord, to preach His glories, to serve the Vaishnavas, to offer worship, prayers. But as we mentioned in one of the previous class here when I took last time, we also have the danger that while we have come for anartha nivriti, while we have come with the idea of, we have given up our families, parents, we've seen them crying. It should not happen that we get trapped in something which takes us away from the goal. There is a saying in English called familiarity breeds contempt. When we come too close to something, to Vaishnavas, even during Prabhupada's time, some of his personal servants who were very close to Prabhupada, they started finding faults. So we can find faults with the Vaishnavas, we can find fault with the systems, we can find fault with management, we can find fault with the rules. And fault finding is something which is an anartha. And I strongly believe, based on my years of experience, that devotees their spiritual life can get a very big hit if they are not careful of this anartha of fault finding and criticism. I've seen devotees who have been relatively very weak in sadhana, but continuing their devotional service, continuing in the movement, serving the mission. And also I have many examples of devotees who are very good, but today they are not in the movement, they are practicing Krishna consciousness, but not blessed with an opportunity to be morning to night engaged in Krishna service. So fault finding, criticism, blaspheming, looking at the shortcomings, this is a trap, and there is a natural inclination for a conditioned soul to do that. Last time when we took the class, some devotees met me after the class. So we should know the psychology behind why we find faults or why we criticize. Many times we have an experience, if you are traveling by train, you get a feeling the train has started moving. But if you look at one side of the train where there's a platform, you find the train is not moving. And then you look at the other side, the train on the next line, next to this train in which we are seated, is moving in the opposite direction. So relatively speaking, we get a feeling that our train has moved. Everyone has experienced this. So we have come to this world, in this world, to be Krishna. Ichha, dvesha, samuthena, dvanda mohena. Ichha, desire to be Krishna, desire to be glorified, desire to be the controller. So therefore everyone is not satisfied, everyone is looking for the next thing, next level of control, next level of lording over, next level of manager wants to become a general manager, then a director, then a managing director, then the chairman, then not of chairman of one company, chairman of group of companies. So like that, we want to become big. So if we want to become big, if we want to go higher, either we can go on our own merits by genuinely working hard and going higher. But psychologically, within your heart, in your consciousness, you can get the same feeling, you can get the same kick, you can get the same pleasure if you pull someone down. Because relatively speaking, you go up. Many of us may not realize it, but there's a psychology behind many of our actions. Why we do what we do. So that's why if we are not careful, familiarity breeds contempt. We are living amidst Vaishnava community, but we are, we can fall trap to this anartha. And when we criticize, maybe it could be for some genuine reason. We have heard this Vaishnava aparadha is a mad elephant offense. If you offend some Vaishnavas, then our spiritual life can get checked. Spiritual credits temporarily can get, our spiritual advancement can get checked for the time being, although spiritual credits are permanent in nature. So we have to be very careful. Once there was a young painter, he learnt painting under his mentor, and he genuinely wanted some feedback. on the painting what he had made. So he went to a subway and he put this painting on display on some raised platform, and next to that platform in a pen stand he put some markers and he put a note there saying that I am a young painter, I have made this painting, I value your feedback. If you see any mistake in this painting, you can kindly point it out. And he left a box of pens, the painting, on a raised platform, and people were passing by in that subway. They were seeing, some of them started stopping by, seeing the painting. And since the note was written, if you have any feedback, any improvement areas, kindly point it out. So people started taking the red pen and putting a cross wherever the painting was not okay. So in the evening when he came, the painting was full of red crosses. Cross, 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 cross. Flower with a cross. The sky cross, cross, cross. When he saw that, his heart was shattered. With all good intentions, he wanted some feedback, some suggestions for improvement. And the whole painting was full of crosses. He got completely dejected, demoralized, started crying, and started thinking that maybe this painting profession is not for me. I cannot be ever a good painter. See, so painstakingly I've done this painting and it's full of faults which people have pointed out. So he went back to his mentor and told the whole thing. See, these days, just like in the airport also, no, the people are asking for feedback everywhere. Even when you fly, you get email, any feedback, customer satisfaction. So he went to his mentor. He says, I genuinely wanted some feedback and this is what people have given, and I am completely shaken with this feedback. So the mentor said, next time when you make this painting, you do the same thing, but do something little different. You can say that, yes, I am a young painter, I made this painting, and you can keep this brushes next to it. He says, if you have any suggestion for improvement, kindly take a brush and do that improvement on the painting. So he did that as his mentor said, and by the evening when he came, the painting was intact. Nobody stopped, nobody did any improvement. They paused, they appreciated and went back. So evening when he came back, he was so happy. Nobody had suggested any improvement, nobody had done any improvement. So the point here is, if genuinely we see something which is lacking, the faults everywhere, the shortcomings everywhere, the improvement areas everywhere, in management, in the systems, in the processes, and whatever it is. If you see genuinely, the idea, the intent, yes, the intent is, it is our organization, it is Prabhupada's organization, it should improve, it should be better, system should be better. The intent should be how I can improve. The solution is not just recklessly critical, be critical or criticize or find faults. See if I can do something to add value, if I can do something to improve things, and there is a proper way of doing it. There is always scope of giving feedback, suggesting improvement, but it should be done with the right intention and in the right way. If our anartha of fault finding and this intent of looking at this thing gets merged, then it can lead to Vaishnava Aparadha. Unnecessary criticism is dangerous. There's another story of, there was a king who was feeding Brahmanas, Annadan. The Vedic literatures full have glories of feeding Brahmanas. Krishna eats through the mouth of Brahmanas. So he was feeding Brahmanas. A lot of Brahmanas had gathered. And while he was serving the food to one of the Brahmanas, one of the eagle in the sky was carrying a snake, a dead snake in the claws. A drop of poison from the mouth of the snake fell on the food which was being served to a Brahmana, and unfortunately he ate that poisonous food and he died. So the Yamadutas, who are in charge of taking this sinful people and adjudicate justice, they were getting confused. Who actually should get the blame? Who should be actually punished for Brahmatya, for killing of a Brahmana? But let us all apply a mind. Is the snake to be blamed whose poison actually killed the Brahmana? Yes, no. Snake can be blamed. Can the eagle be blamed because the eagle was carrying the, had the eagle not carried the snake, the Brahmana would have not died. So eagle can be blamed. Can the king be blamed that he served poisonous food to the Brahmana and because of which the Brahmana died? Can the king be blamed? So one day it so happened that, so they were also confused whom to give the karma. So one day it so happened that in that kingdom, few Brahmanas were coming in and they inquired, where is the king's palace? We wanted to go and meet the king. So the lady was there. She said, oh, you want to go and meet that king? I said, yes, that king. Oh, the king who kills the Brahmanas? Now sometimes we also pass some, he is like this, he is like that. So the king who kills the Brahmanas, you want to meet him? So immediately the Yamudra, yes, this lady gets the karma of having criticized unnecessarily. Yamaraj is a Mahajana. He is empowered, he is representative of the Lord to adjudicate. It's not an easy thing. Even Kasab, when he killed, there are CCTV cameras, footages of he using AK-47 and killing people. When he was in the Arthur jail, Indian government was spending few lakhs of rupees per day for the security of that jail. And the decision to hang him took 7 years. From the day that attack happened in Bombay, to the time when he was actually hanged, it took there was a gap of 7 years. The whole trial, the judging process began, and he was also given a lawyer to defend himself. So this is a process if we have to follow, if we have to actually judge and conclude. That's why to some extent we say this Indian judiciary system is very slow. if we have to judge and conclude that this is right or this is wrong, actually it's a painstaking process, it's a lengthy process. Because you have to hear from different perspectives, independent of your own biases, independent of your own prejudices, independent of your own paradigms. That's why Prabhupada uses the word in this purport called independent thinking. Independent thinking does not mean you can think anything which comes in your mind. You're free to think. Independent thinking means we are, without our knowledge, getting influenced by the biases. We are influenced by our paradigms. Paradigms means perspectives. Suppose what is paradigm? If I wear a red glass, everything will look red. Then I can very confidently say that, this is red, this wall is red. But unless I remove the glass, I will not, otherwise we can fight. Okay, this is red, yes it is red. Somebody say no, it's green, no, it is red. So independent thinking means independent of my own biases, independent of my own paradigms, own lenses by which I am watching the world. So, which is difficult, which is not easy. So the anartha of fault finding, criticism, plus our own biases, prejudices and all that thing, plus living in a community where we have so much familiarity breed contempt, grass is greener the other side. If we don't exercise restraint, if we are not conscious, if we are not cautious, then we can fall trap into this. And we can mess up our spiritual life. We can commit Vaishnava aparadhs. We can feel frustrated. We can even feel that, am I in the right place? So we have to be careful. This article was saying that if we criticize someone and we are wrong, then the karma, we get the karma of the person whom we have criticized. And some part of our punya also gets vanquished. How much it is true, what percentage, all the details, but principle we can understand. It is dangerous. So we all have come with the same goal. The goal is to be Krishna conscious. Like Prabhupada ends this purport. He must be always moving because his duty is to move from door to door and enlighten people about Krishna consciousness, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Our goal is to be conscious of Krishna, to remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Our heart should be clean, free from the anarthas, free from envy, jealousy, pride, greed, lust, anger. That is the meaning of purifications. When things are pure, that's why you see deity worship also. Why so much of Suchi standard? Because purity is the force. Why so much Suchi standard Prabhupada emphasized for deity worship? We have to learn. Krishna is supremely pure. He will not, although he is there, he is very merciful, he is there in the heart of even a pig, anybody for that matter, even in a filthy place. But it will be much easier for us to have Krishna in our heart, be conscious of Krishna if our heart is clean. If our consciousness is clean, free from all these anarthas. So we'll stop here. Anyone has any question, anything like to ask based on what we discussed today?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So, based on the example what we discussed regarding the poisoning of the food accidentally, which happened, and the food served to Brahmanas. So, there can be many cases in our lives also. Like apparently, it may look mistakes, and so many things happen like that. So many things cover, and nowadays because of media, so many things, so many events are fed to us which may be crime related or any financial fraud, whatever it may be. So there could be actual criminal may be different, and the person who is being shown on the screen may be different. So, but on seeing some charge sheet or some report by police, immediately we conclude like how do we save ourselves from this unnecessary criticism and taking of this unnecessary karma? That is the query.
The best policy is mind your own business. The problem is if we don't have enough business, we're not properly engaged in our services, then we'll start minding others' business. Have you heard this saying? Mind your own business. It's a very simple formula. So some devotees who are very, very tightly engaged in the service, they're very blessed. Sometimes we also want to do halka services. We don't want tight engagement. Just a lot of free time. It's good. Free time for this thing. But unfortunately, if we are not properly, Prabhupada in the early time, even for us management, we try devotees who join, they have very tight engagement. Why? Sometimes it may look like they want to exploit new bhaktas. Because empty mind is a devil's workshop. We have inclination for fault finding, criticism and all that. If empty mind is there, we'll do all this. See, we don't have, either you're serving Krishna or you're serving Maya. We have no third option. So that's why he said, be tightly engaged in Krishna's service, so that there's no time for Maya service. If you're not tightly engaged in Krishna's service and we have some free time and all that, we'll engage in Maya service. And Maya service is little more attractive. Unless we become purified, Maya service is why people these days are running after fast food, Swiggy, Zomato, all this are becoming popular because fast food. It is tasty, it's very nectarian for a conditioned soul. So we should be very mind our own business. Service has been given, fully apply your mind in the service which has been given. Some may have an authorized service of finding fault, which is a dirty thing. For example, some criminal department is there, police department, they have to go for looking for thieves or people who are criminals. It's not a very pleasant thing. So likewise, some devotees may have that service to find fault, to look at somebody's mistake, to correct them. But let's not do that prematurely. Let's not do it unless it is. Even channels, all these debates happening, people are criticizing each other. So all that we avoid. Just as much is required basic for us to be in touch with this world, for preaching purposes, for our service purposes, be in touch. Otherwise all this is lot of crap, lot of this debates what you see in prime time, it's all are thriving on this people's anartha. So we avoid all this, mind our own business. Any other question? We'll stop.